Today we're going to talk about regulation in the short-term rental industry. I follow the discussions in all the communities all the time. It's become an obsession of mine. It seems that there's a clear lack of understanding on both sides of the story. People who want short-term rentals banned and the people who want to fight to keep them unregulated as much as possible. First of all, there's two different markets. One is a market where people live. They are in that location because they live there and their livelihood doesn't depend on tourism. Good example here, New York City. It's a place where people typically live, not serve tourists. They completely banned all short-term rentals in the entire city, and I think that's fair. I think the arguments for that are okay. But then you have a different type of market. You have markets where typically if people live there, the only way they get by is by being dependent on tourists. Southwest Florida, say Naples, Bonita Springs, Estero, Fort Myers. There are people living there year-round, but a large majority of them are either retired or working in a restaurant. That restaurant doesn't have visits from locals. It's 90% tourists. That is a market where if you outright ban people's access to the accommodation they want, you're gonna have a hard time. I wanted to record this because the biggest misconception among hosts is that they don't seem to understand why is this happening, why are areas shooting themselves in the foot. It's the age-old tale of screw you, got mine. Ironically enough, a lot of these winery owners, restaurant owners, they also happen to run a couple of short-term rentals. But what they see when the area becomes popular is that other people who they think should not deserve a piece of the cake, they come in and they start competing. Now that's not nice, is it? Anyone can come and just buy a home and rent it out. Because they are active in the city councils, because they're local, well-known politicians and business people, they of course have the power. So they say, we don't want those other people to get rich. We want us to stay rich and get richer, but we don't want other people to enter. This is why there's a disconnect in their line of thinking. They cannot understand why their business is suddenly doing badly because they thought they were just doing the right thing. They were voting for them to get richer, preventing other people from getting a piece of the action. So when a host is fighting regulation, they think that the decision makers don't understand. They think that their neighbors are overreacting. That's typically not the case. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding among hosts of how capitalism works. The way capitalism works, you start at the bottom, you work your way up, but then as others see you become successful, they try to copy your recipe. And there's nothing you can do about it except you can make it illegal for others to try to do the same, which is exactly why a lot of vacation places are outlawing short-term rentals, which is insane. It's absolutely insane. But it's called capitalism, and those are the best models we have right now. So I think a lot of people in the short-term rental industry, in the vacation rental industry, they are using the wrong arguments. They're fighting without understanding the basic concept. They're basically saying we don't want capitalism or we don't want unfairness. That's what they call it. They want it to be fair. And the other side says we also want it to be fair. I mean, we work hard to get rich, now we want to prevent others from getting rich. That's also fair. When you get into a discussion about regulating short-term rentals, keep in mind these two things. First of all, are we talking about an area where people live, or are we talking about an area where people are dependent on tourism? Those are two different things. And second, what makes you think that our industry, vacation rentals, is any different from all the other industries out there? So next time when you get into an argument about short-term rentals, just remember the basic rules of capitalism and democracy. Try not to fight those. Try to fight with them.